I went abroad because I student taught through Cabrini College. Sorry to you Neumann students.
Wow.
But anyway, you can boo me a little bit later. Anyway, so I went through Cabrini and then student taught at Ridley High School and had a wonderful, wonderful experience, which you'll all experience next semester. You'll get like 2 hours of sleep each night. Yeah, but one of the most rewarding experiences. So when I finished, my principal said, "Matt, you did a great job. I'll tell you what, you did awesome. Everyone spoke very highly of you. You worked very well with everyone." And I said, "Oh, I had a great time." And then we both kind of just looked at each other strangely. I'm like, "So can I at least get a job interview?"
Matt's reeling in the fishing line.
Anyway, he said, I'm sorry. He said, "I have no jobs for you. Okay, I probably won't have one in a long time." So I said to myself, really don't want to substitute teach at the moment. I really want to have the opportunity to have my own class every day. And I said, I'm going to go abroad because I always wanted to live abroad as well. I love to teach. I love to travel and experience other cultures. So I did it. Had a wonderful experience. Was there for 2 years. Hadn't looked back. Met James. Have to work with him every day now.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
There are downsides there. I was not a certified teacher, but I had a similar experience in the sense that there was no jobs. If you caught the Korean, there was no jobs when I graduated. I'll take that back. The best job that I wanted, I didn't get, and I said, well, there's this top job that I would love to have, and I'll take if I get it. And then there's about this many jobs kind of in between, and these jobs are just not up my alley. Maybe location-wise doesn't work out for me, and so therefore I'm going to skip all these jobs, maybe come back next year and apply for this job again, and kind of do something interesting. I don't mean to put this at the bottom, but in many people's mind it is at the bottom, and that's kind of why we're here, because it shouldn't be at the bottom. There's lots of amazing schools overseas, and so the thing that we're kind of concentrating on is transparency.
So, James said,
I'm trying to think of who here has gone online and see like a Teach English in Asia advertisement.
Anybody ever seen online? No? Probably not at that point yet.
You will.
Yeah, you
As
will.
You start to look for jobs.
Even if you're searching on Google, you'll see advertisements.
I encourage you to go to these job advertisements, and you'll see they're about yay big, 2 paragraphs of text that essentially tells you very little about the school. It might put a couple pictures up, but honestly, there's just not that much transparency. And so what we're here to do, and I started a recruitment business about 4.5 years ago. That's what I did after my first job. What we do is we go to these schools and we take lots of pictures. We take lots of videos, interviews with current teachers, interviews with the managers. We ask them everything about their contracts, their housing, their neighborhood, everything about the teaching hours. Anything that you would want to know, we have asked them and we have recorded it for you on our website. And so the big thing that we expect to come from this is that if you know about these jobs at these great schools, you'll want to apply here. Because maybe you also have that top job in that top district or that top school that you'd like to work at. But if you don't get it, consider these, because this is obviously an interesting, amazing opportunity, and also something that when you go online and check these schools out, you'll say, you know what, this school is actually really, really nice.
Yeah, they're beautiful. A lot of the schools that we work with, they're in Korea. A lot of wealthy kids, their families pay for their education to study English. So they're not lower class families. They're upper class families, and they go to really nice schools.
Yeah.
And they want people like you, who have experience in education, to work there.
Yeah.
Because they know you care deeply about education. There's some teachers over there that don't care that much. They travel. They kind of party too much. They kind of give Westerners a bad name. But then people like you that they see that care deeply about education and love kids, and by the way, you work with some of the cutest kids in the world over there. You go to school every day and you laugh like hysterically and really see how much they learn.
Does anybody know one person that has ever taught abroad? One,
couple.
two, a couple, few. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do they have good things to say about it? I'm curious. Generally, yes or no?
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Where did they teach? What countries? Any idea? If you don't, I don't want to put you on the spot if you can't remember.
I want to say Hong Kong, but I'm not.
Okay.
But somewhere in China. Yeah. So we're working in China and Korea, mainly Korea right now, but and that's because Koreans spend more money per capita than anybody in the world on education, and so they bring over lots of teachers. But obviously China, going to be that way very soon.
Sure. So James, shall we go to Supervisor Christie
Sure,
here?
yeah, let's show them a video. Honestly, these are.
Yeah. So what James is trying to say about transparency, guys, honestly, when you go on websites, James and I care deeply about presenting schools so that you can see exactly what they're about. You know, instead of just reading content, you're like, what? I don't know what the school. Like, look for it on Google or search for it online. You can't find any pictures. You know, you just talk to a recruiter, and then they give you a Skype interview with someone from the school, and that's it.
Yeah, 12,000 miles to go. That's a big leap of faith that a lot of people take. A lot of people take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
I did, Matt did.
And it's very risky. It's very risky. But if you know who you're working for, like Christy or Michael from Georgia, or the owner of the school and principal, Mrs. Kim, and you see them and hear them, you feel a lot more comfortable, and you're like, I can do this.
You show up with
I
no
want to do this.
surprises.
Yeah. And not to mention salary and other incentives, which we'll talk about in Q&A as well. Okay, so here's Chrissy Teacher. She's supervisor. She's hilarious.
Yeah, she's pretty funny.
And I hope the volume should be up. Okay. I'm going to allow this.
What is your name and your position?
My name is Cindy, and my position is a head teacher at Carroll School.
Great. Cindy, where are you from?
I'm from Korea.
We literally grabbed her and told her to sit down.
Yeah, she's great.
What is your favorite snack and why?
For snack, after each class, all the teachers feel hungry because we students absorb energy from us, so we eat anything.
That's the seafood snack. Any food you see, you eat, right?
Yes.
How long has the school been open?
Okay, more than 14 years now. Yes, and we have a good reputation in this area. The mothers in this area say we are the only school they can trust with their children.
You want to keep going?
How many foreign teachers are here?
One minute.
Six wonderful foreign teachers.
Great. How about Korean teachers? How many Korean teachers are here?
Okay, so as you can see, there's Christy, and if you go on our website, guys, you can see other teachers as well. You can turn the lights on. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do with transparency. You also can see a tour of the school. You can hear Michael talk all about the neighborhood that you'd be living in, and then if you go here, you can read as much as you want about school salary, housing, health insurance. Some schools write a lot more than others. But, so that's what we're doing with transparency. On to our second mission, James?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just one thing really quick. Chrissy was talking about the mothers over there, and the mothers in Asia are very, very involved. Very involved. Let's just say that. I owned a school for about 2.5 years over there, taught there with my friend, and we'd sit down every day with these mothers. They would pull us aside after class. Very generous. They give you lots of food. I was getting food literally every day.
It's amazing how
breakfast
kind they
I
are.
get.
I had a mother
Super
bring me a
kind.
coffee every single day.
Every day they're giving you.
They
something.
just care so much about their children's teachers.
And they care a
Really
lot.
nice.
They care a lot, and that's why you would be perfect candidates for them.
Yeah.
I don't know many of you. I don't know any of you. But I do know that you care about education enough to be studying it and to want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what and that's what they see. That's what these mothers see, and they say, that's who I want teaching my kids, not somebody who just speaks English and thinks that they can get a job.
Yeah, so James, they bought us coffee and some food. I mean, imagine they buy them like watches and jewelry.
Yeah, I
and
was
stuff.
going to well,
Maybe
we won't
but,
jump, but
we're just kidding, basically. Okay, so guys, really quickly before we go on to our next thing, just want to show you a couple teacher profiles. This girl, Lori, fortunately, she gave me her information to where I can kind of promote her. So this is what you would do too. Just think about it like you're getting a job here, okay?
Yeah.
And you're applying to a middle school, high school, elementary school, and you want to present yourself in the best way. James and I put our heads together, did a lot of research, and
talk
really,
to a lot of school owners.
really, exactly, and decided that this is what they need. They need to see you talking about yourself, talking about your teaching philosophy, talking about. Lori decided, she said, I'm going to talk about my home because I really like to design and I like to furnish. So I'm going to talk about my apartment. And she's a dance instructor, so she even put like a dance video up. So we only request an introduction and a teaching philosophy, but girls and guys, don't get overwhelmed because honestly, it's just a very brief introduction of yourself that you take with your phone right in front of you.
If you have a phone in your pocket, you can do everything here.
Yeah. Or James and I, if you're interested, James and I will come to you and we help you create these videos.
Yeah.
Also, the teaching philosophy. Lori kind of got overwhelmed, she told me about this, but I said, Lori, you studied education. What's one thing that you truly believe in with teaching or education? And she thought about it for a little bit. It took her 15 seconds to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really not. When I did my teaching philosophy as an example, mine was about 30 seconds. I talked about maintaining high standards in the classroom to maximize student achievement. So it doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing that you're like, I can't do this or I don't want to do this. But if just like you're trying to get the best job, you put this information up and they see it, schools see it, then they're going to want you.
And the schools, they do start looking fairly early for candidates because the visa process is lengthy. I noticed you all turning in background checks. You will definitely have to do that again. Apologies.
Yeah.
You will have to do it you'll have to go one step further, in fact. You need to get an apostille. You need to get an FBI background check. It needs to be done in a very precise manner or else you will get rejected and it will be very frustrating. And we'll help you with all
That's what
that.
we're here for, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. So, we are encouraging people, even though you're spring graduates, we're encouraging you to actually get on this website and actually create a profile, because it's actually just a good practice. If you can't say what your teaching values are, think about it a little bit. Right? They might change, but we encourage you to get on this, because if you start a dialogue with Matt and I, and that's great. Seriously, please talk to us.
Yeah.
Then we want to be pushing your profile to these schools who come to us and say, hey, I'm going to need a teacher in June, usually June, basically. And we're going to say to them, you know what, we have a few people, and we're going to talk to you and kind of get the ball rolling on it. Nothing at all is binding.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's just a conversation.
And in Korea especially, you guys, August is the big intake. In Korea, March and August are the two biggest intakes for teachers. So that kind of works out well for any of you who would be interested when you're finishing up in May.
Should we wrap it up? Just talk about the...
Yeah. So, guys, the last thing is when making your videos, like I said, don't get overwhelmed, because we tell you exactly, here are your talking points and your questions.
Tell you everything to do.
This is exactly what you need to do. It's all here. We highly suggest anything you want to know. James and I spent, close to a year, building the site and making it for you, for people that are interested.
The last thing we'll talk about is kind of the support programs while you're abroad. If, I guess you three knew people who went abroad, we've known lots of people that have been abroad, hundreds of people, and some of those people did not have a good time. Some of them had a decidedly bad time. The 3-month, I'm happy, this is interesting, went into the 6-month, I'm depressed and I'm homesick, please get me out of here, and they just kind of trailed off. And we talked to them, we talked to people who are clearly great teachers and very happy teachers, and we decided the reason for this, which is goals. Achieving personal goals outside of the classroom. That's why you go abroad, right? You want to expand your horizons. So that's what we're doing with our personal goals program. We're going to be talking with people that we're going to be recruiting before they depart, saying, all right, what do you want to do? Do you want to learn a language? Do you want to learn Taekwondo? Do you want to play in a public sports team? Do you want to learn how to cook, dance, play a musical instrument over there? If you want to do these things, let's just set a goal, right? It's very simple, very easy. We might be mother-henning you a little bit. And if you don't want us to, that's fine. Tell us.
But it's to support you guys. 5 times during the year, James and I have talked to a lot of friends and other teachers abroad. They kind of felt like their recruiters kind of like let them go and kind of ended any relationship they ever had. So James and I feel it's very important to look after you when you're abroad.
And we're going to be over
because
there.
Unless you apply with other friends, you should be really focused and really active and happy. But if you don't know anybody as soon as you arrive, it's so easy to meet people that you like, and we guide you to do that. So there's no way you feel scared or homesick or intimidated in the beginning. We really, 5 times during the year, we call you and contact you to make sure you're doing okay, and like James said, to make sure you're focused on that goal, whatever it was, so when you come back. So that was our goals program, and I'm going to discuss briefly your development program, teacher development program. So I know when you guys go abroad, a lot of you, raise your hand if you're elementary yet. Early childhood, elementary.
Actually, yeah, good question.
Okay, wow. Okay, so you guys are rolling pretty deep with elementary ed. Okay, good.
They will love you.
Yes, especially for elementary ed, not just elementary ed, but for secondary. I was secondary. you can do what James and I have developed and are developing. It's called a Truth Professional Development Program. So when you're abroad, okay, and you come back after you're abroad and you have an interview at an elementary school, middle school, high school, the principal says, well, how was your year abroad? Well, that's amazing that you taught abroad for a year. And you said, yeah, I had a great experience. And if they ask you what you did, you can say, well, I built this teaching portfolio, okay? And on this portfolio, I taught with American textbooks, which they use, by the way. You use all American texts when you're teaching English in Korea and China. Sometimes British. But you can follow state standards of Pennsylvania. Like we all know on PDES.org, I forget the website, but they have the state standards. If you're not going to do it yet, you're going to know about it next year because you have to build your lessons that correlate to that plan, which I'm sure you all know about. So you could, for a week, if you're teaching during the week, and say, hey, you know what? I want to create a lesson plan that that I can put on my portfolio, or I want to do once every day, or I can do it once a week or once a month. It's entirely up to you, but that's to back you. So when you come home, you say, hey, look at this portfolio, look at my website, using Weebly.com. Look, principal, this is what I did to make myself valuable when I came back. I actually taught state standards that correlate to whatever I would have done while here. So that should speak volumes, actually. So we really believe in that program as well.
Yeah, and so we're also going to be doing monthly webinars to help with cultural differences in the classroom, encourage classroom skills, promote things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I guess we can
wrap it up. Honestly,
yeah.
we're here or in a big part to hear questions from you.
Yeah.
We know that this intrigues some people. We know some people are like, oh, there's no way I'm ever going to do this. Nonetheless, you're here, we're here. We've traveled 10,000 miles, maybe not specifically to be in this classroom with you right now, but you're a big part of it.
For sure.
So we want to hear your questions. If any of this intrigues you in any way, ask a question. I know there might be a lot on your mind, but
sure.
We're just going to open it up right now. So.
And then if you don't ask questions, we're going to start talking more. So.
Do you get set up with like housing and stuff?
Great question. I'm sure your friend may have told you about that when you're abroad. Any school we ever work with pays for free round-trip airfare anywhere in the continental United States. When you finish your contract, they fly you back. Free. It doesn't matter what the cost is. Philadelphia Airport, wherever you want to leave from in the continental United States, they fly. I went to visit a friend in San Diego and then flew out from there to Korea. So that was really nice. And then they fly you back after you finish. Housing, specifically, all of our schools pay for housing. To just give you a ballpark figure, I was living in Seoul. James and I have lived in Seoul our whole time. It's the 13th most developed. Korea is the 13th most developed country in the world. It's not a third world country by any means. If some of you might think it is, it's a beautiful city, incredibly modern. Some parts, are a little poorer than others, but the cost of living is very, very nice. It's really affordable. Transportation, etc. But specifically, free housing. They give you free housing. Sometimes you pay small maintenance fees, but just think about that. Some of you might live at home, but if you pay rent, it's free. It's all free. So, any other questions? And really quickly, departments are a little smaller, but they're kind of nice. They're cozy and.
I'll put up some pictures of the apartments on the website. Cause, yeah, it is surprising when you walk in there and you have your shower handle and then your bathroom or your toilet right here. So that'll be interesting.
Salary?
Great question.
Let me do this.
James, go for it.
$2,000 to $3,000 a month. Paid housing, paid airfare.
Yeah.
No taxes. I take that back. Maybe 4% taxes.
Yeah.
You get a month and a half of bonus salary at the end, just for completing your contract.
And the pension?
You get a month of bonus salary plus half a month of
pension after
from
a
the
year.
school.
Yeah.
That by government law, the school and you pay into it, and then you get it at the end. So basically, a month and a half of free salary at the end.
So you can clear anywhere roughly around probably around $29,000-$30,000 US dollars.
That's the low end.
Yeah,
that's the low
and that's low. And James worked at a school. He worked several, significant hours, but he made a lot of money when you were over there. A lot more than I did.
Obviously, people go there that you've heard. Maybe your friends. You go there to pay off student loans and have a good time.
Yeah.
So It is a viable
It's really
place
nice.
to go.
And think about if you're not paying rent, the cost of living is so much lower. Even if you're out, you go out often and meet friends and do different things, you can still save a lot of money. It's
So
really
a lot of people ask us, or actually I ask a lot of people, saying, all right, so what would you do if you had the same salary here or in Korea? And a lot of people don't realize it's very similar. I'll stop talking.
The reason why I'm asking her to ask you questions because I'm, you're not the student.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Go ahead, Dr. Farr.
Because the interest is high, and so my question is, let's say there's a couple people, students who are friends, and they want to go out together. Is that an option?
That absolutely, and that's something I highly encourage.
Schools love that.
Especially among girls. And I'm going to say among girls because it's pretty much a statistic that most women that teach abroad choose Europe over Asia because they're like, I really don't know Asia. It's around 65. We say 65-30 in regards to applicants. 65% men. It's around 35% women that apply to go. One of my favorite suggestions is indeed exactly what you just said, Professor Ferraro, is apply in groups because number one, we can't make promises, but we can try as hard as we can to get you into the same school. Yeah. Secondly, if we can't do that, we can probably get you pretty close together in the city, and you can meet each other very regularly, and then meet new friends together. And it's a wonderful suggestion, and I love that.
Was that your question, or okay?
It helps. It helps people want to go a little bit more.
I mean, I'd like to go, but I have 2 children.
How many? You can come over. You can bring your husband.
Are they pretty independent?
Great. Next question. Fire away, guys. Come on.
Honestly, you walk out of the airport, you open your eyes. What's the first thing you think of?
What's for lunch?
What's for lunch?
Do you mind if I start? Can I start with this? So, I feel like actually I kind of know. The dominant Asian cuisines in America are what? Chinese, Japanese food, right? A lot of people don't know. Maybe some Thai food. A lot of people don't know about Korean food.
Delicious.
But number one of the healthiest diets in the world, honestly. I feel, come back here and eat American food and eat sandwiches all the time, and Mom makes pasta a lot, and I'm like, I don't feel that great after I finish eating. But honestly, with the Korean diet, you feel like you're in amazing shape, and specifically, the food is very affordable, but cooked very often, each day, cooked fresh. James, you want to talk about some of the older women that they're just everywhere and just make some of the best food?
It's family style eating. Everybody eats out of the same dishes. Anytime, if you're living in an apartment building in the ajima, which means old woman, which is what you call an older woman, you call them the equivalent of old woman. And
but it's respectful.
So if their door is open, you say ajima, annyeonghaseyo, and she'll say come in, eat. That's kind of the situation. That's how it is. They love cooking. They love eating together. I didn't get that at first, and I was like, why are you eating my food? This is my food. And they said, no, this is our food. And I said, okay, well.
But it's a great experience.
We got some learning. We got some cultural bridges to
my first school, this was a wonderful experience. My first school I had, the kids called her Yummy Teacher, okay? She wasn't a teacher. She was just the school cook. But every day...
What's her name, Yumi?
It wasn't Yummy. They called her Yummy Teacher, Yummy Teacher. So every day, she cooked like a fresh protein, like a fresh meat, delicious side dishes, vegetables, fresh vegetables, every day. And then you have your rice, and then also soup. If any of you love soup, I have fallen in love with soup because they don't make like really creamy soups. It's kind of just soups that hydrate you with delicious vegetables. Some of it's spicy, but every day you get a soup, you get a protein, and delicious vegetables. And it's cooked fresh every single day, so you feel good eating it. My first week, I'm like, I don't know if I like it. Second week, I'm like, this is incredible. I'm having fresh cooked lunch every day.
If they haven't eaten dinner, we should stop.
But the other thing is, if she would come out, and if she looked at the foreign teachers, and if she could tell that you didn't like your food, she'd go back in the kitchen and she would fry eggs up for you. And she'd bring them out. And then all the little kids would be like, I love egg fry. I love egg fry.
He hasn't eaten dinner either, so I know why he's talking about it.
On to the next question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
What if you're not the best at learning like a foreign language? Is it an absolute requirement to learn that language, or?
James, that's you.
You don't have to learn Korean at all. Most people that go there don't speak any Korean other than very basic, getting one. And that's
The large majority. I will say, honestly, myself.
we speak more than almost everybody. So yeah, and it's not necessary, but obviously, why go abroad and not learn any of the language? I've always thought that. I've always been, kind of wondering about why my friends didn't learn the language better. Anyways, in China's different.
Yeah.
You should, and it's not like you have to, but you should learn the language. You should study a little bit before you go. Get Rosetta Stone. Get a never mind. Not Rosetta Stone. Get a language partner that's somewhere here, living in the city, a Chinese person who wants to speak more English. You can find them online on language partner websites very easily. And in China itself, you will be like a diamond in the rough. That if whatever Chinese person lucks out and gets you as his or her language partner, that person will be teaching you so much Chinese because they're trying to keep you as that language partner. Because obviously you're not a dime a dozen. So
yeah. And I can't tell you how many times it's been wonderful, being in the subway and waiting for a bus or walking in the city, and someone comes up and just talks to you, and they very awkwardly come up to you because they're very shy about about trying.
Yeah.
Of all ages, and they'll try to speak a little bit of English with you.
You can see the person sidling up from 20 feet away, like, I know he's coming.
Yeah. And then,
he's kind of shuffling,
like
towards you.
An old man, before I came home, was wearing a suit and he had a top hat on and an umbrella. It was really strange, but it was a beautiful sunny day. And he just came up to me and he said, hello. And I said, hello, sir. And he said, what's the weather like today? And I said, it's very sunny. And he said, yes, well, I have my umbrella in case it's raining. And he just kept walking with me, and I didn't know what to say to that.
There's a good chance he just learned those two phrases.
Exactly.
And wanted to use them.
So,
and that's what the situation is. People want to speak to you in English.
And just little things like that put a smile on your face every day, and you're like, I'm so glad, like, I'm here and I'm doing this. And it's all about your attitude, honestly. You keep a good attitude, you'll have the most wonderful experience.
We don't want to keep it
Next
too long,
question.
So keep asking.
Along with that, like, are there some people who are like a little negative or like kind of shy away from you because you don't speak their language?
You're talking about Korean
okay.
specifically?
Yeah. Like if you go and you don't know how to say something correct, or are they like, oh, you dumb American?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
If you say "안녕하세요," they're like, "Oh my God, you speak Korean." China, I'm not going to speak to China because I have not spent enough time in China to say it definitively. But Korea, they go wild for you just to speak two sentences, really.
Or even one word. Like one of the number one phrases that you hear all the time is "한국말 잘해요." That means your Korean is very good. And you said.
And you said one thing.
I just said one word.
Yeah.
But all the time.
They're very friendly. They know that their language is not a world language. They understand that. That's why they're spending a ton of money on learning English.
Yeah.
They understand it, and they're just very nice about it.
And by the way, you want to talk about learning the characters. I've never had any formal study in Korean. Just everything I've learned, I've taught myself. There's only
teaching the alphabet. In
there's only 24 characters, so it's really easy to learn.
Yeah.
It's really easy to learn to read and write. Chinese and Japanese, a lot different, but Korean, very easy. Easy to the point where you go to a restaurant and you're like, I can easily read that. I know what that says. I can order that. But most places you go, they have a lot of English menus and things like that. So, yeah, you shouldn't be worried about that. Next question? Yes.
What is your website?
Great question.
What is it called?
Truth?
We'll give out some business cards. Right?
Yeah. But if you want to write it down, right now, you can write it down. Now, truthteacherservices.com. Truthteacherservices.com.
Yeah. And we're going to have a sign up here for your name and email if you're interested. Again, it's very early on in the process for thinking about jobs, but it's never too early, obviously. So we really encourage you to sign up.
I'm surprised no one asked about. Does anybody here like to travel and go on vacations?
Yeah, seriously.
Who likes vacations and beaches? And,
who wants to go to Thailand
and mountains?
Cambodia?
Exciting.
Who wants to go to Japan for skiing in the north? Who wants to go to China?
No one has any questions about traveling or other countries that you can go to?
I don't think we need to go too crazy.
Okay, great question. She was at, what's your name?
Caroline.
Caroline asked what traveling's like and if it's as affordable as Europe. If you've ever heard of like Ryanair or EasyJet in Europe, there's many airlines that are comparable prices or sometimes even a little bit cheaper. For example, if you want to go to Japan for a long weekend, even a weekend, if you wanted to. You can get a flight for around $150, depending where and how far ahead you book. They also have like last minute deals. I went traveling for a whole month in Southeast Asia and paid around $450, $500 US dollars for 7 different flights. I flew into the Philippines, then went to Vietnam, Singapore. I jumped all around the parts of Thailand, then came back to Seoul, South Korea. Around $450 for all those flights.
Yeah.
On a website called Air Asia. Very cheap and clean and affordable. So, yeah. A lot of inexpensive, wonderful beach vacations
We'll do one more
and things like
here.
that you can go to.
Go for it.
I know that you guys, like, it would be awesome if we did this right after school, but what if we, like, want to do it, like, a little bit later? Do you guys...
You could do it any time. It's just that we're encouraging you to think about it now, because as soon as you get, I don't want to say entrenched because that has a bad connotation, but entrenched in a job, it would be more difficult for you to kind of pull yourself up and leave. So
And have that job when you come
it's a
back.
good time to do it right after school. That's all right. There are summer contracts, but very, very few. Far in between. So
And they also...
maybe one-year contract.
Most of the schools really prefer, especially with the younger kids, the kindergarten academies, they really prefer younger candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what the contract is, 1 year?
Yeah.
Yes.
12 months from the start date. Yeah.
So like, what do you do in the summer? Do they have school still?
It depends on if you're working at a school, one of our schools that has a curriculum, a semester-based system, kind of Western style, or a after-school academy, of which there are many. Every single kid in Korea, and I'm assuming China as well,
Yes.
pretty sure, goes to multiple after-school academies every single day. Saturdays also, maybe Sunday. It's an intense educational environment,
Yeah.
and everything's rote memorization. However, that's why schools would hire you, because
Yeah.
they say, you know what, we want a more Western style of teacher in here, and that's what mothers want too. They know their system's wrong. Anyways, vacations, what do? Well, travel, there's one thing. But if you're working at an after-school academy, you might only have a week or two. If you're working at a regular school with more curriculum,
And kindergarten
same grade.
academies is still 2 weeks. Yeah, most of our kindergarten academies. But think of it like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
That was difficult for me as a teacher to get used to. I'm like, ooh, only 2 weeks of vacation. And then they have like in Korea especially, they have like a Korean Thanksgiving. So you get like you get like a mini vacation, like 4 days, depending on when it falls. In January, early February, you have what's called Lunar New Year, Chinese Lunar New Year. So they celebrate that in China and Korea as well. So that's like another mini vacation. So it's kind of like 2 main week vacations for like 9 days, including the weekends, and then 2 mini vacations where you could travel as well. Not to mention, they're all paid for. You get the same amount of pay. They're all paid vacations because you're on contract, on a salary. And also those vacations, you can travel if you wanted to come home for Christmas, for example. You have 9 days to fly home if you wanted to do that. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Any
And the
more
national
final?
holidays. There's like 15 to 20 national holidays. So you have those days off as well.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
Anything else about what it's like living there?
The salary is comparable to anything you'd make here, if not perhaps better sometimes. I know Pennsylvania's pretty good, however. Travel opportunities, and it's all about expanding your personal horizons. That's really what it is. If you've never lived in a different culture, it might be difficult to understand what I'm even talking about, but you've heard it before. It's totally true.
Kind of it'd be nice to mention briefly. Because I don't know.
I think they're tired. I think they want to eat.
I mean, this is just such an incredible opportunity.
It is, and we.
Especially, you have no ties here for years and years.
Yes.
Do it.
Guys, I know you're tired, so I'm just going to say one more thing about safety in Korea and China. Does anybody know what it's like if it's a safe city in Seoul? Anybody have any idea? Everybody, yes? No? No. Well, Korea is actually, they pride themselves on being a very respectful and safe culture. China as well. It's emerging. I mean, you don't see people acting out physically in public if there's an altercation or anything like that. And James will talk to you very briefly about the immorality of that. Guns and actually drugs, they're all illegal. They don't exist. So
Highly illegal.
yes,
They don't exist.
girls, if you were out at night, 11:30, 12, riding the subway. By the way, it's the second best rated subway in the world, in Seoul, particularly behind Hong Kong. It's really clean, really efficient. But you could be out at night and honestly not worry about anything because there's no danger. There's very, very little, physical crimes. Very, very few, percentage-wise. But for the most part, it's incredibly safe. Not once have I ever felt endangered while walking, in the city at home by myself. Really, really nice. And I could talk on and on about that, but I'm going to stop. But James, you want to talk about
It's a legal and cultural thing. It's very. It goes against culture to actually fight. Altercations are kept to a minimum. It's more about respect. It's knowing the hierarchy of age, title, things like that. So it's a very safe place. Very safe place.
Yes. Okay.
Done. We have a name sheet. We'd like to get your names and emails. If you're even interested, just a little bit. Put it down.
Sure.
You're not going to have another chance when we're right here. So.
I also wrote major, guys, because I wanted to see who's K through 6, who's secondary. You're all. Oh, you're all. I'm sorry. I just heard about the state certificate, the changing, which I'm kind of mad about. I don't know. It should be K to 6 though. It's crazy. Okay. Very nice. I just think it's crazy. Okay. All right. So, guys, if you're vaguely interested at all. You can write your name, you can write your information right here, okay? And we'd love to get in touch with you. We will contact you directly. And we know you graduate in May. It's perfectly fine. So it's entirely up to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That interview comes tomorrow morning.
We are.
If they take their test, there are some secondaries.
Okay. Will any of them be in tomorrow's seminar? Completely
They've had
different.
Yeah, we don't want to double.
Tomorrow is a whole different.
Great. Great. Good.
Good.
All right, thank you so much. Guys, we wish you the best of luck with your last year. Don't get discouraged. Fight hard, all right? You'll do a great job.